Hey everyone, it's Amy Sherman from MLive and Michigan's Best. And guess what? It's my favorite time of the week. It's time for Beer of the Week. And this week we are featuring a very special ale that marries history as well as a big birthday celebration. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be delicious. Our pick for Beer of the Week is a special one because it's a partnership between Bière De Mac in Mackinaw City and the Mackinaw State Parks Association. And we've got Dominick Miller with us from Mackinaw State Parks.
Thanks for having me.
Dom, it's always a pleasure.
Oh man, this is exciting.
Well, you guys have really created an interesting partnership that brings in history as well as brewing science to create something truly unique to this area. How did this come about?
Well, it's our 125th anniversary this year, and we really started thinking, like, how can we, up the ante and make this truly a special anniversary for us? And one of the first things we thought of is, like, we need an official beer, and there's really only one place that we could think of that should brew this beer, and that was Bière De Mac here in Mackinaw City. It's one of the coolest spots in town. It's one of the places our staff frequents quite often. I know when I'm in Mack City, I make my way in here. So we just thought, like, hey, this seems like a winning combination. And we talked with George and Danny and said, is this something we can do? They were excited, and we went from there. And here we are now.
I have to think that Mackinaw State Parks would probably be the only state park that would have an official beer.
We like to think so. We like to think that we're also a cool organization and we do stuff like that. And and it's, you look through the history of when the French and British soldiers were here in Michilimackinac, when the soldiers were there in Mackinac Island at Fort Mackinac, and alcohol was there, and being able to have that release and having a beer and being able to relax was a part of the history of these sites as well. And so we thought it was only appropriate to have an official beer for the celebration as well.
I think it's perfect, yeah, because beer really did play a huge role
Absolutely.
During that time. I mean, because a lot of times it was a lot safer to drink.
Well, and it's actually funny, at Fort Mackinac they built a little tavern inside the fort there because the soldiers were going downtown. They were having too much fun, not too different from Mackinac Island today. So they built a little canteen there up in the fort. They sold Schlitz beer for a nickel, and they was able to keep the soldiers in the fort. So if they were going to do anything silly, it would be while they had control over them right there. So, but no, I mean it's part of the fabric of the history of these sites as well. So it was a natural fit.
I love that. Now, for people who aren't aware of what actually encompasses Mackinaw State Parks, what are the parks that you guys oversee?
Yeah, absolutely. Here in Mackinaw City, we have Colonial Michilimackinac, which is the entrance is right under the Mackinaw Bridge, Old Mackinaw Point Lighthouse right next door, and historic Mill Creek Discovery Park just down the road. And then over on Mackinac Island, we have 80+% of the island is our state park that we manage over there. Fort Mackinac, the Biddle House, the Manugia and Mackinac Art Museum, historic downtown Mackinac, and all these other assorted buildings. So you can't get away from us in Mackinac City or Mackinac Island.
Hey, that's a good thing.
Absolutely. I think so.
All right. Well, I love it. If people want to get more information about the parks and maybe plan a visit to this neck of the woods, not just to try Beer of the Week, but maybe to experience some incredible history, where do they go for that information?
Head to MackinawParks.com. All the information is there, and all the information about the 125th anniversary as well.
I love it. All right. Now we're going to get to Beer of the Week and learn more about the super special ale from Bière De Mac in Mackinaw City. Thanks to Dominick Miller from Mackinaw State Parks for sharing some of the information of the background of this beer. But this beer is special because of the partnership between the two of you. We've got Bière De Mac's owner, George RANVILLE, with us, who's going to talk about how it came about and why you wanted to partner with these guys. Tell me more, George.
Well, Craig Wilson from the Parks, who is a regular customer of ours and a Mug Club member, came to us last July and kind of sheepishly said, I have an idea. Do you think you would brew us a beer for our anniversary? Well, we thought, of course we would. That was a no-brainer on our part, and he was really happy that we said yes, because I think he didn't think we would go along with that idea. But we were really in tune with the Parks. Actually, my 92-year-old father, who grew up here, his job was to rake the park near Michilimackinac when he was 14 by hand. So he raked that whole state park. So we've been around this for a long time. And we specialize in Belgian style, French country beers. So this was right down our alley. And we wanted to make a really special beer. And we think we've done that, and we've done the tasting. As for some of the other cooperation, we went and did photos, had a photo op at the fort with the beer. And
a photo shoot with the beer?
A photo shoot
Sounds
with the beer with the soldiers in costume, toasting, and we had shots of the beer out near the cannon, And as Danny said, hey, what's cooler than beer and cannons?
I'll tell you right now, not much.
So we think it's a great thing that we were able to do this, and we're going to love working with the fort going on forward. We think this won't just be a one-shot deal. In fact, the beer turned out so good, we may just keep going with this label for a long time.
I love that. Well, it does fit with your the style of beer that you're kind of known for here at Bière de Mac, that French Belgian inspired, which is a lot of what the trappers were and the original settlers in this area. So we're going to talk to Matt in a little bit about Fleur de Mac and how it actually came about in the brew house and what it tastes like and the flavor profiles in there. But tell us a little bit more about that history of maybe this style of beer and why it was appropriate for this partnership.
Well, again, that's probably more in Matt's realm.
Okay, fine, we'll wait for Matt. No.
He's the one who did. He and Danny did all the research on the beers, and we really go into detail on our beers. When we make beer, we research the water profile, the location where we're getting that beer. So we really approach the details on a traditional type beer. So this again really fit what we wanted to try to do. And we're good at Belgian beers. The Brewers Guild selected us as one of the best in the state when they did their issue on Belgian beers, and
that's fantastic. I'm going to virtually high five you. Tink.
Thank you. So the guys really do a good job in that. They love that style of beer, and it shows when you see what they produce.
I love it. Well, we're going to learn more about our pick for Beer of the Week, which will be coming up in just a second with Mr. Matt. He's going to tell us more about it. But for people who are unfamiliar with Bière de Mac, what can they expect when they come up here, George? You guys have an incredible food menu as well as some great beer, right?
We try to have great beer and great food and great customer service. And we want to do all three. So we have what we call an upscale comfort food menu. With special ingredients, things that go into our mac and cheese that are unusual, squash and bacon, and 3 really great cheeses. And
George, we're doing an interview. Oh, that was great.
And it's nice being popular. And so we really created a upscale, different menu, more than, a little better than you find in most breweries. People driving to Mackinaw are traveling. They have to have something to eat. We can't just serve beer. They're going up the freeway. They want to come in and have a couple of beers, and our beers are higher in octane than a lot of, traditional beers. And so they have to have a meal. We make beer to go with those meals. We've been well received for food and beer, and we think that if you're coming to Mackinaw and you're driving across that bridge, when you get to that first exit, Mackinaw exit, and you get to the top of the ramp and you can see the Mackinaw Bridge, turn the other way and go a half mile, and you'll find Bière de Mac out here in the woods where it's not so crazy, where you're not right in all the crowds. And we have woods and kind of a nice setting.
I love that part of it. It's nice and relaxed out here. There's lots of space to spread out, and I will concur that the food and the beer both are absolutely excellent here. If people want to get more information about Bière de Mac, where should they go?
Go to beerdemac.com. And although we spell Bière de Mac B-I-E-R-E, if you spell B-E-E-R, it'll still come up, beerdemac.com. And we have information there, and also our Facebook page and all the other social medias.
Awesome. Thank you, George. All right, we're about to get to Beer of the Week, and Matt's going to walk us through this special ale. There she is, Beer of the Week. It's Fleur de Mac from Bière de Mac in partnership with the Mackinaw State Parks. And we've got Matt Peters here. He's assistant brewer at Bière de Mac. He's going to walk us through the process of how they came up with this beer, because it is so special, a historical partnership celebrating Mackinaw State Parks with the help of Bière de Mac. So, Mr. Matt, tell me how you came about this. You did a lot of research to come up with this beer.
Well, traditional French-Belgian styles are kind of what we do here, and we researched many historical styles and felt like that was something where we could really do it justice, something we were good enough at where we were going to give the park something of the quality that we felt like this type of event deserved.
Gotcha. So how did you start researching? Like, what tools did you use, and then how did you settle on this style?
Well, George buys us all kinds of books so that we improve our skill set all the time.
That's a good owner.
It's funny enough, but the day that Danny wrote this recipe, I was sitting at the beach reading Brew Like a Monk book, and in
That's a
this
great book.
particular chapter, it was all about Bière de Garde and all the different styles of Bière de Garde that existed over the years. And I came in the next morning and I said, Danny, why don't we do some type of Bière de Garde? And he handed me the recipe, and it's a really interesting blonde Bière de Garde that it's composed of European grains and French Belgian yeast and a lovely bouquet of like Americanized versions of traditional European hops that provide the floral and fruity aromas that you get from it.
So how would you, for those who don't know what a Bière de Garde would normally be, what are you looking for when you're making a Bière de Garde?
Well, it can be all kinds of different things, but in a blonde Bière de Garde, you're looking for a little bit of like bready, maybe toast or cracker, and then the color of a French Belgian style comes from, or the I shouldn't say color because it's not the appearance of it, but the real array of flavors come from the yeast, and its esters give you that banana and the phenols that provide like the pepper and clovey spice to it.
So it's going to drink like a very traditional Belgian ale where that yeast is playing its part and bringing it to the
Except
party.
The Bastogne style yeast dries it a little bit more, where
Okay.
it's not quite your really sweet banana flavor. It's gonna be more subtle banana and a long dry finish.
Okay. Well, let's try it. Grab a glass. I love the color of this. It's like the perfect golden shade.
Cheers.
Cheers. When you smell it, I instantly got a lot of banana. But tasting it, I get banana on the front of my tongue and then a little bit of pepper as I swallow.
Pepper as it goes back.
Yeah, yeah.
And then long finish. It's nice and dry.
It is. I like that. It's refreshing. It would be very refreshing and yet sustaining on a hot day because this
Yeah,
is a no-joke beer. You brewed this up pretty
at-
strong.
At 8.8% alcohol, it's a strong beer, but it's very flavorful. It pairs excellently with food, as most French Belgian styles do. But its flavor profile is such that it goes really well with spicy food, and it also goes really well with like your rich, creamy.
I was going to say mac and cheese. You guys have a
Yeah.
great mac and cheese here, and I instantly thought, ooh, that would be a really nice pairing.
Yep.
What else would you like to pair it with?
I mean, anything on a grill is great.
A pork chop sounds pretty yummy.
Yeah, but that's the thing about that style is it lends itself to so many different flavors.
I like that. Now, normally, everyone, we pick a beer that is in distribution throughout Michigan so that you can get it and try it yourself. This beer is not in distribution. You will have to come up to Bière de Mac to get to try this really special ale. But we figured since a lot of you are traveling right now, maybe up to the UP or to Mackinac Island, it's the perfect time to make a visit here. And right now, it's only available on tap here, but maybe in the future we might see it some other places.
It's possible. I mean, you never, never say never.
Breaking news. I like that. Well, you have plenty of other beers for people to try here. What are some of your favorites to drink and make, Matt?
Well, everybody loves the IPAs. They sell like crazy. This week we will have our Brut style IPA hitting the board, and that's a really fruity, citrus, mango, dry IPA. That's at 7%, which just about where the average IPA liker wants it to fall in. We do a couple other really nice French Belgian styles, like our Second Beach, which is light and very effervescent and a little lemon in it. Perfect for a summer day sitting on the beach. Then we have some heavier hitters on the Tier 3. If you want to come in and have something to eat, try our Russian Imperial Stout, Winnie the Bulldog. It's really strong, chocolatey, coffee flavors, rich, full beer.
Well, and you've been putting a lot of things in barrels during this time, so there might be a lot of things to look forward to maybe in the fall or winter.
Well, without customers here in the dining room, the brew team just sat there looking at each other like, well, what do we do now, guys? Well, let's make beer for when the customers will be here. So we planned a year in advance. We thought, well, this summer may be a loss. Luckily, it's not, but we thought that was possible, so we planned for next summer. And we have beer in bourbon barrels and something fancy in a Cabernet barrel and a couple of cognac barrels, and we are trying some interesting things here.
I love that. Well, that's something to look forward to from Bière de Mac. But right now, you can, of course, enjoy our pick for Beer of the Week, Fleur de Mac. You have to come up here and try it in Mac City, but trust me, it's worth the trip. Hey, Mr. Matt, thanks for brewing up a great beer.
Thanks for coming.
And happy birthday to the Mackinaw State Parks. If you want to get more information about Beer of the Week, go to MLive.com.